Hello and welcome to another episode of the New World Comics podcast. I'm Buck Berlin, owner-operator of this fine establishment. Stephanie isn't with us this week. She's working really hard on the comic convention coming up.
Yes.
And, I just, left her. I mean, she does all the work anyway, right, so, yeah. This week with us, Eddie Santos, he's back.
Hey, everyone. Glad to be back. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, better be grateful. No.
Yes.
Yes. Given that it's kind of crunch time for the con,
Yes.
I figured that we'd go back to talking X-Men.
Of course.
Because, oh my God, yeah. The Hickman books are about to hit.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's going to be allegedly a brand new era in the X-Men world.
We'll see what they do. I just finished reading the last episode of Extracts.
Yeah?
And it looks as though they're trying to make all the villains as part of the heroes now, like they did with Magneto, with Apocalypse having this great revelation. Not too many spoilers for those of you who haven't read it, but it looks like they're shifting all the villains that way.
Interesting.
All the big ones anyway.
Maybe they'll make Apocalypse interesting again, huh?
Maybe.
Oh, everyone just quit.
I know. Hey, no, don't leave. Come back.
Well, we'll get into my thoughts on Apocalypse later. Like, one story finally, gave him the gravitas that I think he deserved. But more often than not, he was just this boastful guy that talked a big game and never really followed through.
He shape shifts and shoot things out of his hand, and that was about as far as they got with him.
And he's old. Yeah.
Ooh, the first mutant. Ooh, you think he'd be doing more.
Right. So
a lot more than what they've shown in the books anyway.
So let's do just a kind of overview. We'll jump back to the 60s with the original 5, which, I've read just about all the X-Men comics now. There's some that it's I know I don't need to read those. Right. There's some that I lived through them, and they were the Chuck Austin stuff that no one should read. Oof. But
I grew up with Fall of the Mutants.
Yeah.
Which was an awesome story.
Yeah, that's a great era to be getting into. And I really started with the 90s stuff, but I backtracked.
Yes.
So I found reprints and everything I could for the original X-Men, the 63. Man, I always wondered which came out first, X-Men or Avengers, and it turns out that they're both September of 63.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I've done as much research as I can. I can't seem to find when the actual release date was in the weeks of September of 63. Which one shipped first, X-Men or Avengers? Yeah, because technically, technically Avengers. Not collectively showed up first, because they're the culmination of several books, whereas X-Men it's and here's a brand new thing.
Because the Avengers started as solo books, and then they put them in a group. Where the X-Men started as a group, and then each one got their own solo book down the road.
Yeah, because after a while, like when you're reading the original stuff, like. Past Master Mold, it doesn't really get interesting again until like Havoc and Polaris show up again. When Sauron shows up and because they couldn't have vampires back then.
Yes,
like because of the comic code, you couldn't have vampires. So Sauron shows up and he wants to turn everyone into dinosaurs and. Leech the
wasn't in the medical profession. He could at some point someone said you could have created the cure for cancer. But, but here you're turning everybody into dinosaurs.
Spider-Man. Yeah, when it was Spider-Man.
Called him out for it.
It was like, but dinosaurs. Which I mean, to be fair, man, dinosaurs are awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, can't go wrong with dinosaurs.
But
however, you can do both, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean. I think Stegron tried some of that. But yeah. So it's weird looking back on early Marvel because Spider-Man wasn't the breakout character. The Thing was.
Right.
The Thing was the most popular Marvel character, and then followed by the Hulk, then followed by Spider-Man, And then the breakout star of the X books was Beast.
Yes. It seems like the more tragic characters, like the Thing.
Yeah.
He lost, quote unquote, his humanity by being turned into stone. Beast lost his humanity by turning into the Beast.
Yeah.
Instead of just a name, he was actually in form as well. So the tragic characters become the biggest characters for Marvel.
Yeah.
Beast,
Well,
Thing, Spider-Man down the road.
Yeah. I mean, they have the ease of kind of roping you in.
Yes.
That way. Well,
we can relate to him.
Well, because Beast was, just a dude that, had a cool name and
Can flip around, has strength.
Yeah, and was the easiest to write of all the other characters because everyone else was kind of Joe Average or
right. He was the intellectual one.
Yeah, because back then, like if you were the big strong guy on the team, typically you were the stupid one.
Right.
And no, he was the smartest guy in the room.
Exactly. He was
until Mr. Fantastic showed up, and then but it was late '60s, early '70s that in like Amazing Adventures, they're like, what if we turn him into an actual beast? And he turned himself gray, and he got super strength, and he had healing powers, and he was as strong as the Hulk, and he drank the formula so like his evil boss wouldn't get the formula, and he was like, well, I have 24 hours to solve this before I turn back. And then he missed the thing, and was like, well, I guess this is me.
And then
and then his fur was supposed to just be black. Like he just turned black furred as soon as he accidentally burst into Patsy Walker's apartment.
Yes.
And like she's like, man, that's crazy. Your fur just turned black, even though it was the blue that we know.
Right.
But it's like saying that Superman has blue hair. You know how they do. Like it's
and a lot of the artists would say it was hard to put that color on the page.
Yeah,
because
printing wasn't as consistent, and
and so they had to go with blue to give it so all the black haired characters blue, and then of course Beast was blue, was supposed to be black with blue, and then you had Mystique, and you also had Nightcrawler, who was blue furred.
Yes,
Nightcrawler
I never quite got because he had like the little triangles over his eyes that were like shadow, I guess, from his hair. Yeah, but
yeah.
So like Beast was kind of the only X-Men that we really knew about of what was really going on, during all the late '60s, early '70s, until Giant Size X-Men came out. Because X-Men had gone to reprint at the time because
they canceled them.
Well, they just shy of canceled them. Like instead of canceling them, they were like, well, we'll reprint them and put on new covers. No one will notice because they didn't read it before.
Little did they know people were reading it.
Yeah, well, they were.
Not a lot of people.
Yeah.
People were reading it and they enjoyed the book. And
yeah, but then Giant Size came out, and oh my God, that took off.
It took off. You had the international team from all corners of the earth, and it just blew up, and it just rolled from there.
Yeah.
It was the first time. It wasn't cookie cutter comics. It was, you had people who had accents in different countries and different backgrounds and different mentalities to try and work together.
Yeah.
Because when they brought Storm into the team, she grew up in Africa where it was more open.
Yeah.
With yourself, and so reading the books of her being just herself, people were like, "Oh my God, you can't do that."
Yeah, she just walk around naked, and everyone, and she was like, "What?" And everyone's like,
it's
"No, it's a different country.
You have to.
They're gonna arrest you." Yeah,
you have to cover.
Yeah,
all of that.
Yeah, Banshee losing his mind because he's so conservative about it. Yeah, it was just, you God woman. Yeah.
How could you? And Colossus was the same way. When he walked into her room at one point, she was just
she was hanging out. Yeah.
She was just comfortable, just chilling out. And next thing you know, he's like, "Oh my God," because he was, "How you got to cover."
Yeah. But and then there was Wolverine that was just bad attitude until about the time John Byrne came around, and then was like, oh, I know what to do to make this guy super cool.
He was the bad guy, the bad boy, the throw me in there, I'll take care of it. I don't need the rest of you. I'll take care of it, whatever. And then they actually give him some depth and some characterization. Before he was just the guy with the knives, and he would just go in there and stab, cut, and it was it.
Bad attitude, just like Thunderbird was. It's just they were like, you, we'll keep you.
We'll keep you, yeah.
Yeah, which, I mean, I get back then they didn't want to have two bad attitude guys on the team, but I think that would have been kind of awesome.
It would have been great to be able to work off of each other.
Yeah.
See which competition as to who's got worst attitude.
Yeah.
But I'm still surprised they haven't. I know we have Warpath in his place, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't brought him back.
They've brought him back a couple times, and it's been kind of weird. You know, like in Grant Morrison's new X-Men, like he shows up and even does the, hi, Professor, yes, it's me, James Proudstar, and no, it's not me, not a clone, not a double, it's the original me. I'll be back.
But he died in a plane crash.
Right.
But it's comics.
Yeah. I don't know how a super strong, near invulnerable guy dies in a plane crash, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a good theory, that he didn't die and he just went back to living his life.
Yeah, that's kind of a jerk move if it's the man, But
in a way, it fits with the attitude he had, because he was part of the team, but
he would just kind of walk away.
Right.
But I mean,
he was part of it, but not really wanting to be a part of it.
He would at least tell his brother.
Yes.
And when
that would be interesting.
Oh wait, no, because he was John Proudstar, because James was.
Yes.
Yeah. Was Thunderbird. Yeah.
And then they had even his brother carried the name for a while.
Yeah.
Thunderbird 2. Then they had another Thunderbird in the interim, and then Warpath came back.
Yeah.
And he renamed himself, or got renamed. So.
Yeah. And then from there, the eras of X-Men just were kind of gradual. Like, it kind of went from mid-'70s era to about the time that Cyclops retired from the team. That that was kind of a shift.
Yes.
In the team, and then when Havoc and Psylocke and Dazzler all joined up, it was now we got something going here. Yeah.
Yes. And Cyclops retires, Storm takes over, and they had some really good eras with Storm running the team.
Yeah.
You had the Fall of the Mutants, you had the Mutant Massacre, you had their time in Australia.
Yeah.
And then she became captain of the Gold Team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
leader of the Gold Team.
Yeah, which speaking of the Storm Cyclops thing, that was the thing that made him quit. Which, man, Cyclops is absolutely one of my favorite X-Men, but he's one of the worst people.
Yes, and Storm beat him without her powers.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she had. Yeah,
fighting skills that
she didn't have her powers at the time, and just outmaneuvered him.
Right.
Yeah, which he was super distracted, and
he was
needed to not be there,
and which also showed her capacity when she fought Callisto.
Yeah.
To lead the Morlocks, she didn't have her powers, and her ability just to take Callisto out, who was an excellent fighter in her own right.
Ruthless, and was
conniving and ruthless, and no holds barred, and no prisoners taken, and just tossed a knife at her and got her. Like, oh yes,
Oh, that was such a satisfying moment.
It was. It was, because the whole time Callisto's just talking smack to her, and she doesn't have her powers, but she's
Well, and Storm was just so regal. And then all of a sudden, when she lost her power, she was like, let's go punk rock Mohawk.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's when she went to Japan and met up with Yuriko.
Yeah.
And Yuriko said, hey, you don't need your powers. You can be your own woman, your own right. And she cut her hair. She got the Mohawk, which became her iconic look.
Yeah.
And that's when she went into the black leather with the vest and the pants, so, yeah.
Yeah. Her non-costume costume?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always fun to think back, like, man, whose costume was actually a costume?
Biker Storm?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah. If anyone else was walking around like, what are you, a biker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only one at the time, Wolverine had a costume,
Yeah.
and
Cyclops always had his costume.
Always.
Well, because that's the type of guy he was.
He was
Yeah,
militant,
yeah. So like anytime that Cyclops has his hair out, that's not Cyclops. Like everything has to be down. Like
controlled, confined.
yeah, because he
order.
even mentioned it once. It's I don't want to have my hair out because that's a weakness. Someone could grab it and control me. And he's like, no, this is the way to go.
But if you take that mentality, then all the women will have to have their hair in a ponytail. And
Well, don't get me started on the realism of comic costume design. Having had to make some of these and alter some of these.
what? These skimpy costumes in real life?
God, yeah.
Workable? What? You don't go to the frozen tundra in a skimpy bathing suit?
I mean, I might, but you don't know about my life. No.
Show some leg. Show the shoulder.
Yeah. But all that really led to, and I've been just trying to build to this, my favorite era, which, a lot of people kind of look back on and go, oh, really? And then, others that, like myself that grew up on it, 90s X-Men.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
It was...
You had the mullets, you had the pouches, you had the... Some had feet, some didn't.
Yeah, I mean, everyone had cross-hatching and the spit between the teeth, and Cyclops was in love with 3 different women, and
still,
yeah, because it was usually just Jean and Psylocke, and then every now and then he'd think back to Madeline.
Yes,
even though she was dead at that yeah,
kind of dead, but maybe when they were in Australia, she
but
kept it in the family.
It's weird,
yeah.
But yeah. But I mean, jumping to that, I guess we are kind of skipping over the introduction of X Factor, which was them getting the original 5 X-Men back together,
right? Because the Fantastic Four with the Avengers found the cocoon that had Jean Grey.
Yeah, and that way it devilified the Dark Phoenix.
Yes.
Because no, that wasn't Jean Grey.
Oh, no.
That was an alien entity that looks just like her.
It took her form and sounded like her and acted like her and had the same thoughts and feelings.
All of her memories and
knew who everybody was.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
But no, hearing this cocoon that fed her and bathed her and
healed her from the radiation poisoning that her body suffered.
Yeah,
comics.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Right.
So then, they started up X Factor, which was the government-funded mutant team.
When, because Angel had to put his wings in a backpack, square-looking backpack to hide them, basically. And that's when they introduced Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Kind of circling back to Apocalypse, and they... introduced the legacy virus. Mm-hmm. Also, that storyline. So.
Yeah, and then around that time, Angel had his wings damaged, and then Apocalypse gave him the metal organic, metal wings.
Yes. Which he can shoot the knives.
Yeah, like he could flare them out and like knives would shoot out.
And they had some toxin on the tips of them, so he could
and
cause more damage.
Just makes him gross.
Yes.
But and then he turned super angsty because he was happy-go-lucky like flying dude.
He was angsty. He almost like a very angsty teenager.
Yeah.
In a way. Because yes, you lost your wings and it's very traumatic.
Yeah. Now you're blue and
now you're
no longer as beautiful. Yeah.
And then,
and then Apocalypse boasted about it, and then we were all like, "Yeah, man, if he can do that, what else can he do?" And then that led to 20 years of
Archangel.
Yeah.
Remember the ship that Apocalypse had that they took over and became their base?
Yeah, it was the big flying brick.
Yes. Yeah. The Apocalypse crash landed in New York. Well, else would you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the only place you crash land.
Yeah.
Your sentient spaceship. And then they beat Apocalypse, took over his ship, and then I forgot what happened to the ship after that. But
I feel like X-Force took it over. I think
they may have.
Yeah, or It may have gone to the New Mutants, and then oh yeah, that's what. Yeah, I think New
Went to the Mutants?
Yeah, and then I think Cable ended up taking it over, and then it was their base ish kind of for a while, and
then it just kind of.
I think it blew up or something.
They wrote it out of the existence.
I mean, as many times as I've read and reread those issues, if it were that important, I'd remember.
It's true. It was an interesting sentient ship to have around for a little bit. And then after a while, it played out.
Yeah, it was a done plot device.
Yeah,
so
it was. They also Lena Chaney was around that area as well.
Yeah,
because I remember her coming and teleporting them to somewhere in space.
Yeah, and she was just kind of a plot device, like, oh hey,
hey, look what I can do.
Yeah, and I don't want to be part of any team because I'm a rock star also.
Intergalactic rock star.
Yeah.
I can't. But I'll take you where the trouble is, and you guys fix it, and I'll take you back home.
Yeah.
Can you help us? No. I got a gig to go to.
Yeah.
I'll be back. I'll bring the bus around.
Yeah. So as all that kind of played out, they Marvel realized that X-Men was really taking off, and they had way more characters than they knew what to do with. So they started breaking up all these teams, which I think is the best way to that they could have dealt with it. And I'm kind of upset that it's not happening now.
It would be, and
like they kind of sort of tried, but not.
They tied them all together. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Even though they were separate teams, they always came together. And they worked together when they had this, huge obstacle.
Yeah, the big crossovers.
Right.
Yeah, because
and they all knew each team, even though they were their own entity, but they were referenced back to the main team, and main team would reference them. They knew okay, well, you guys go do this. You do, it started with the New Mutants, and then it went into
X-Force and
X-Factor.
Yeah, that's the cool thing is that they broke up New Mutants, which was this, and we talked about it last time with you that. New Mutants was such a tight knit group, like they were more than family. Like each one of them was
they became none of them were a throwaway character.
Yeah,
and yes, it can be argued that Cypher may have been a throwaway character.
I mean, he may not have been a throwaway character, but he got thrown away.
He did.
Yeah.
And
but when they
became a big player.
Yeah, but when they decided to break up the teams, they didn't just do that. Okay, well, New Mutants works, so we're just going to keep that. They did that. Okay, well, some of New Mutants works, but what if we mix and move around these characters?
Yes.
Yeah. So
remembering
they put
the lineups.
They put Wolfsbane on X Factor, and then like a couple issues into that run of X Factor. Cannonball shows up. He was like, "Hey, I haven't heard from you. Let's hang out."
Right.
Like, it feels like they've kidnapped you. We should go.
We should do. Yes.
And she's like, "No, I'm part of this. I want to see how this plays out."
But then Cable came and got Cannonball and Sunspot and Boom Boom, because she was introduced in original X Factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, way back when.
Boom Boom and Skids and Rusty Collins.
Oh, you're getting into that Fallen Angels.
Yeah, I'm morphing into that.
Yeah, which anyone who's read Fallen Angels knows what Fallen Angels is, and if you don't, then don't worry about it, man.
They introduced some really interesting characters like Leech and
and Artie.
Artie,
yeah.
Leech, Wheels. Don't forget Wheels. Or if you don't, look him up. Alchemist.
Or just don't. There's so many, like, outside of Artie and Leech, there's so many, like, none of them matter. Which, I mean, looking back, like, it's Warlock and Boom Boom and Multiple Man and Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur. Like, it's all this, like...
Great lineup.
Yeah. Who dumped out the toy box and was like, all right, let's play.
Let's see. We're going to put all these together, and they're going to work. And it did for a while.
Yeah, for... 8 issues, yeah, and then most of it didn't really matter.
No,
but so like there's all that interconnectedness there, and then when things did start it back up, like with X Factor and X-Force, Excalibur, all that stuff.
Excalibur, yes.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff would kind of get referenced,
right?
But they realized that most people hadn't read that, so they just kind of
went their
pushed
own way.
forward. Yeah,
Because after the Mutant Massacre is when Kitty Pryde and Colossus and Nightcrawler, after they healed, they left and went to Excalibur.
well, Colossus didn't. Colossus,
That's right.
Yeah,
It was
Colossus
Nightcrawler
stuck
and-
around. Yeah,
It was Nightcrawler, Kitty, and Phoenix.
Rachel Gray.
Rachel Gray.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, and then the new X Factor was led by Havoc,
Yes.
because they were like, all right, so Cyclops is a little crazy. What do you think you can do? And yeah, because Val Cooper was running that.
Right.
And honestly,
Guido and Multiple Man.
yeah, of all the '90s X-Men books, like when I go back to reread stuff,
That's
it's absolutely my favorite. Like,
the artwork's still
yeah,
still great. It's a very flowy artwork.
yeah, it's Larry Stroman.
Yes.
Yeah, who was a fashion designer. That was like, ooh, comics. Yeah,
Didn't know that part.
yeah, and then Joe Quesada.
Yes.
Yeah, now head honcho of Marvel.
He's still,
Yeah, got a lot of early work there.
Remember?
Which
Yeah.
87 was the big therapy issue,
Yes.
where Quicksilver has that famous line of having my powers that I can't turn off is like waiting in line at the ATM behind the old lady who doesn't understand how it works. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
puts
that
it in perspective.
I think that's where we found out how Strong Guy's powers and situation came from, because
Right.
he's this, like he is the size of the Hulk up top, and then like from the waist down he's like a regular dude.
Yeah, normal size and from the waist down, and is hit by the bus,
Yeah,
and his powers activated, but he didn't know how to control it, so he just
yeah, because he has the power that when he gets hit, he absorbs the kinetic energy, and his body stores it, and he has like 45 minutes to get rid of it or
40
something like
right.
that.
Or his body will be disfigured.
Yeah,
and he's in constant pain because of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and he said that's why he's always cracking wise, because otherwise he'd just be crying.
crying, yes.
Yeah,
He became the not only the jokester but the heart of the team as well,
yeah,
because of the way his powers manifested and came out, and just his daily existence.
Yeah.
Of just living in just pain.
yeah,
And we can turn that into real life where people do that, are suffering with that now. They can relate to that.
yeah,
So it's very interesting character. I like what they've done with him, and sad turn with what he did to Rain's kid. However,
I think some of that got undone, but
it did get undone.
yeah, although
they made amends.
and then they brought him
years later.
back, and now he's dead again currently, which really upsets me. But
They've done away with so many good characters.
yeah,
One which recently, if you haven't read,
there's not going to be an X Factor reunion
No.
for a while, probably.
for a very long while, unless they pull out the comic book magic wand and bring it back.
I'm perfectly fine if they want to just bad write that back into existence.
Alternate reality, they're all here.
All right, so something I want to get back to, like, let's talk 90s X-Men.
Okay.
Because I think most people got into comics because of the X-Men cartoon show.
Yes.
So, your Rogue, your Jean Grey, your Jubilee,
Cyclops.
Wolverine, more for a couple episodes than a lot more later.
Yes. Gambit.
Gambit, who else am I?
Professor X.
Professor X,
Beast.
Beast, although he was a couple episodes, then a lot more later.
Right.
Because of the, man, I feel like I'm forgetting people.
I know
But-
there's more there.
Yeah, it was a pretty well-balanced team.
It was.
Um,
They developed them very well. Even
Yeah.
Jubilee, they played her teenage, rebellious angle.
Yeah.
But they actually did her justice in the
yeah, and
the TV show.
I mean, they made all the characters pretty likable characters, and it got everyone ready to read the comic books.
Yes.
So you could watch what's going on TV, and when you read the comics and they're talking about the Dark Phoenix saga, the show did. Honestly, the show did a better representation of the Dark Phoenix saga than any of the movies. Yeah, either of the movies.
Either of the movies.
Yeah.
Because, sore
Yeah.
spot.
I'm just saying, if you look at how many episodes that spanned and the runtime of that versus the runtime of any of the movies, I'm pretty sure that the cartoons won out.
Hands down, the cartoons weren't one out. They actually depicted it close enough to the book, and in nowhere in those cartoons did Jean Grey have a trench coat
Yeah.
as the Dark Phoenix. I don't know where that came from or why that was even considered, but yeah.
I mean, maybe the actresses are just like, yo, that's a good look.
Let's go for the. It's not even a badass look. It's, looking back on those movies, it's like it's not even a badass look. She's wearing all red.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that Jubilee, like they took the teen sidekick character that hey, it's Wolverine's teen sidekick Jubilee. They made her a strong enough character that after a while they were like, let's do New Mutants again, but let's do it with Jubilee.
Yes.
We'll introduce some other X-Men in the Phalanx Covenant and.
That's when they introduced Blink for the first time.
Yeah, that's where you first saw Blink, which was pre-Age of Apocalypse,
Yes.
and Skin and Sync.
And Teenage Sonic, Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Oh, she showed up in Astonishing. Yeah.
Was it Astonishing?
It was Astonishing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she was.
I'm getting it confused.
Yeah, she was on Muir Island.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, in the Phalanx Saga, that's where it was Banshee and Emma Frost who was hanging around the team at the time, and Sabretooth, because Wolverine had just lobotomized him, and he was healing from that.
That's when, right. That's when White Queen and Banshee formed the school.
Formed the school in Massachusetts.
And then Massachusetts Academy.
Yeah, because you ended up getting one of Cannonball's like 8 siblings joining the team, and then man, back as a kid, it was the most horrific thing to think of. Chamber.
Oh wow.
Yeah. This poor kid had psionic powers that like he could talk to you psionically or give out these bursts, but he was so frustrated the first time his powers manifested, it blew off the lower half of his face
and chest.
Yeah. So like it's just this open cavity
of
energy. Yeah. So if his powers went out, as X-Men things are to do, he's deadsies.
Yes.
Yeah.
As recently happened.
Yeah.
In Uncanny.
Which is yeesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That to see him without his power going and just like, oh wow, that's
which I mean it's not the first time, because like in New Warriors, when there was no more mutants, he got healed and came back and was fine, which was a weird situation.
And then, people started getting their powers back. Mirage got her powers back. Richter got her powers back.
Yeah,
got his powers back.
Well, and then eventually Scarlet Witch was like, "Oh yeah, mutants. Sure, why not?"
Yeah,
yeah.
Because she was one, but isn't one. Maybe
she's one again.
Oh
yeah.
So her and her brother are back to being.
Yeah, I mean,
for now,
Disney owns Fox now, so yeah, we're good.
So we're back to being mutants. Are they still related to Magneto? Maybe?
Yes.
Oh, so they're back to that too.
I mean,
retconned everything. They retconned the retcon.
I mean, I couldn't tell you the issue, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, yes. So, another book that I want to talk about that is really, really fun and doesn't get enough play, Exiles.
Yes.
Oh my God. It
was
so wonderful. Judd Winnick wrote the first half of the series, and it's all of these universe displaced X people.
Because they even had a Havoc on there for a while.
Yeah.
And they introduced Nocturne.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler's
daughter. It was the daughter of Nightcrawler and Scarlet Witch from a different universe. Blink from not Age of Apocalypse, we think. Yeah. Maybe. And then Morph, who is definitely not from Age of Apocalypse, but has the Age of Apocalypse costume. But, in his world, he was like the best Avenger. And
he was, yeah.
Yeah. And then you had... John Proudstar, you had,
Yep. Yeah. You had all these.
Yeah, but he was a horseman of Apocalypse, so like he got mutated.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go reread this now.
Yeah, because I feel like it was him and Nocturne who had a thing going on for a while.
I definitely have to read this again.
Yeah, and then every time that someone on the team dies, someone else from a different universe comes to replace them. And each person has a set time limit, but they don't know the set time limit. And they have so much universal imbalance to rebalance before they get put back wherever they go.
Right.
Whether you are pulled right before your death, or if you're pulled, at your happiest moment, whatever, like you're going back
To where,
regardless, unless you die.
right.
And then, well,
and then,
oof.
and you're,
And then you're deadsies.
and then you're just
Yeah.
dead.
Which has happened, and then some people were like, "Oh, hey, cool. All right, well, sorry guys, see ya." And then there was the other team that was like all other Marvel characters.
They had Iron Lad.
Yeah, well, like later on in the series, you find out that it's like Evil Vision and Deadpool and Spider-Man. Like it's the anti-Exiles team that's trying to imbalance the universe.
I'm definitely going to go back and read this.
Oh my god, yeah,
Reread
because the first one was they had to kill like an evil Professor X, and all of them were like, I can't kill Professor X.
It's Professor X.
Right. Yeah, it is so freaking good.
To go back and read that, yeah.
And as much as I don't want to throw out his name for yes, read these comics. Chuck Austin's run was actually pretty good, and then Tony Bedard took over the book and killed it.
Yeah.
Which, if ever you've read Tony Bedard comics, typically he'll, if he starts a series, it's really pretty good throughout the whole thing. If he takes over a series, it's going to get canceled because he's going to ruin it. So
he's not set to take over anybody. It has to be his from the beginning. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then around that same era, just a few years down the way, we got the new X-Men, the Grant Morrison run, where they were like, okay, so what if we treated the Xavier School of Higher Learning as a school?
What?
Yeah. So, you see the school just get populated with,
Lots and lots.
hundreds of kids that are trying to figure out their powers, and then all the problems that arise in school. Like here's like the drug outbreak.
Yes.
When Quentin Quire tried to take over the school.
Oh, Quentin Quire.
Yeah.
You either like him or you don't.
And then the big reveal of one of the characters that they pick up ends up being one of the X-Men's greatest villains throughout the whole time. Yeah.
Then he has a twin brother.
Yeah,
No. Okay.
They really ruined that character 5 times over.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Because isn't Grant Morris's run on there? I believe it was 114 is
X-Men 114, and then
the new era starts, and this is one of the milestones that Hickman
is claiming.
Claiming. You have the original, the first X-Men issue. You had
the giant size.
Then
you had the 90s, and then
the 90s, and then Grant Morrison's run.
Yeah, and then they ruined all of his hard work so quickly, and then Joss Whedon came. Joss Whedon saw what Kevin Smith was doing on Daredevil, and he decided, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yes, and his run was excellent.
Yeah,
the art was, the storyline was phenomenal, and I love the twist that he did with the Danger Room.
Yeah,
I love that twist.
Yeah, Joss Whedon's run of it's 25 issues long. It is quite possibly the most perfect run of X-Men, just because it's 25 issues and it puts everything back to basic. All of the characters have their very distinct voice.
Yes.
Like it's the first time in years that Wolverine has felt that distinct. Cyclops is easily the best person on the team while being one of the worst people.
Right. Oh. This is the beginning of his decline.
Well, sort of. Yeah.
Into
crazy.
More, yes. Yeah. And even more militant.
Yeah.
The confrontation between Kitty Pryde and
and Emma Frost.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. The first time I saw the X-Men, you tried to kill me.
Right.
Yeah.
You are the epitome of evil. When I think about evil, it is you. I said, I don't have to watch you. I can smell you.
Yeah. Oh man.
And she's just like,
Yep.
Yep.
And
you speak truth.
yeah.
That's what I think. That's when they brought Kitty back to that one. That's also where you can see the beginnings of her becoming an X-Men leader of the team, where she was a moral compass for that team.
Very much so.
And even Emma Frost said, "This is why I brought you on the team, because you are the moral compass. I know that you're going to keep us on the straight and narrow." And they introduced Armor, and she became the new sidekick for Wolverine.
The new Wolverine. Oh, God, I can't talk about Astonishing X-Men without probably my favorite panel of all X-Men comics of all time. And so Wolverine goes around and always boasts, "I'm the best at what I do." And then you finally find out that, what he's the best at. And, you see him, "Oh, I'm the best at what I do. And what I do is really pretty." And he's got mind control, and he made little, paper snowflakes.
Yes.
It was oh my God. Yeah.
That's when
Cassandra Nova
yes.
Was mind controlling everyone, and Beast's contingency plan was like a pheromone scented ball of yarn or something. Yeah, it was brilliant. The whole thing is so great. You get introduced to Abigail Brand, who runs Sword,
which he later on off and on date.
Yeah.
For a while.
Oh, it's just so good.
Break World. That's when introduced Break World.
Yeah, and there honestly there's a motion comic that it was on Netflix for a really long time.
Yes,
but you can find it like everywhere. It actually does most of the book justice.
It does.
It's one of the few motion comics I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this.
Yeah,
it's a little weird, but
it's a little weird to see them. To see it on the way they put it on the screen. However, they like you said, they do it justice. They actually, it was enjoyable.
Yeah,
and to actually see it, it's the closest thing they've gotten to the '90s cartoon, where it was something you can actually sit and watch and enjoy.
Yeah, and honestly, that's kind of the last time that X-Men has been all inclusive and as welcoming, because after that, they went to San Francisco, and Cyclops led the mutants, and then, oh no, the mutants are kind of evil. Hold on, we're going to go back to the mansion. Hey, look, some of the bad guys are now the good guys. All right, let's
Jubilee into a vampire.
Yeah, oh God, I forgot about the vampires. So then we got the vampires, and then they ended up fighting the Avengers twice, and then they fought the Inhumans, and then the Terrigen Mist turns out to kill the people with the X gene, and then mutants who were accepted are now feared and hated by everyone. They're again being the analog for the oppressed, even though it makes no sense thematically. And then they change up everything by introducing the original team out of time, and then
Hank, Beast decides Cyclops has gone too far. There's no bringing him back. Let's remind him of where all this began.
Yeah,
so
which is a cool idea. And then they were like, let's change all of the characters. Let's make Jean more strong.
She became the leader, not Cyclops.
Yeah, and then Beast was like, not science, magic. So all that got kind of weird.
Got fiery wings.
Yeah, each character had. Bobby was like, and by the way, I realized I'm gay now.
Right.
So it's all of these things that they decided to shift all that, and then instead of leaving in a timely fashion and kind of saying their piece and showing everyone, no, we were the best. Here's the error of your ways. They stuck around and were like, you guys are still terrible, but I'm going to drink too.
They stuck around for 10 years.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 10 years.
Yeah.
And it was...
It just went on and on. And then Cyclops had his evil team, and...
everybody just dressed in black.
And Magic came back, but she wasn't Magic, and then she was, and then she got the soul and all that. Yeah.
And then she made a soul dagger for Pixie because she stole a piece of her soul. The thing is, they were developing.
Yeah, things
Touching up on Pixie, they were actually developing her character, and then all of a sudden they just sidelined her.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
And that would happen just all the time with X books. And then this current run, it started off really pretty good.
Yes.
And then 3 or 4 issues in, it was pretty apparent that they were about to reboot it. And instead of rebooting it, like issue 11 or 12 was really the new number 1.
Right.
And then from there, it was okay, let's get X-Men back to basics.
And they went back to the dark. People hate us. I mean, they just detest us. And when X-Men took a good portion of them to this other reality,
yeah,
you had maybe 10 left,
mm-hmm.
and then here and there, then they just started getting rid of characters.
Yeah. So which we now have found out is getting ready for Hickman's run.
Right.
And it's kind of weird seeing the art because we're a couple weeks out from those issues hitting.
Yes.
And we're seeing here's a Colossus-looking woman with the soul sword. Here's Nightcrawler with Caucasian flesh.
It looks like a combination of Mirage, Colossus, and Magic.
Yeah.
Because it looks like Mirage's form.
Yeah.
With Colossus' skin, and then the huge soul sword. And it's
Yeah.
Then you have Havoc as a little kid, almost like a 6 or 7 year old.
Yeah.
You have 3 versions of Wolverine, right? Weapon X, Patch, and regular Wolverine.
Yeah.
And is that Moira McTaggart sitting with?
Yeah.
Professor X,
because all we have are some clip art and a few covers now.
Yes.
And Marvel's telling us that, hey, this is going to be the end all be all X-Men, which we've heard before.
We have.
But
many things before.
The difference is, so far, Jonathan Hickman has delivered on his Fantastic Four, his X-Men, the Secret Warriors, Secret War, pretty much any title that he's jumped on. Though it will be expansive, can get convoluted at times, the payoff is always worth it.
Yes.
So
you see the build-up, you read the build-up, and you're going to have this amazing.
Yeah.
You're gonna see the payoff. So hopefully,
yeah,
the same thing with the X-Men because they're overdue.
Yeah, because we've been
way overdue.
Yeah, because just give us one of these titles, we could talk for hours about it.
Yes.
There's we're running close to out of time, and right now I'm like, oh my god, we didn't talk about Mutant X, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
But like I say,
I forgot about Mutant X.
There's so many things that we could go back and touch on. So, by God, I hope this upcoming run is worth it.
And I believe Mutant X was where Havoc was thrown into the other
Havoc
universe.
went crazy, got thrown into the other universe and
Bloodstorm was introduced, and
the
original X-Men, but mutated and even more so.
Yeah, Iceman would just freeze people and kill them, So like I say, there's so many of these that we could just sit down and okay, let's break down Ecstatic. So it's the reality show.
Yeah.
So.
Which they're bringing back, it looks like.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
They have the one shot out, so pick it up. If you're an Ecstatics fan, you can, I guess, start there. And
if anyone has any question about Ecstatics, I'll tell you all about Ecstatics. Or they can tune into a future podcast.
Yes.
I think you're going to be my X-Men guy. Okay. So anytime we want to, we're going to sit down and break down X-Men. Because it's not like there's not enough of this to talk about.
There's one or two things to do.
Yeah. So how's this?
Well, Executioner song. That's another good one.
We will come back to this a couple issues into the
Let's see what Hickman does.
Yeah, we'll see how it does. We'll give back our report and we'll go from there.
No pressure, Hickman. No pressure.
Yeah. Eddie, thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thank you for having me again. I had a good time again.
Definitely.
I want him back. Bring me back. Bring me back.
Yes. Special thanks to Drew Stone for running this thing, and thank you all for putting up with me being more or less sleep deprived, trying to help get this con together.
July 27th.
Yeah, July 27th, for those that don't know. If y'all see Stephanie out and about, be super nice to her. She's working so much harder than any of us.
Yes.
Oh, my God. So, yes. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll see you all next week.
See ya. Take care.